Hey, law firm owners, professional doesn't have to mean predictable. Standing out is not a bad thing. Creativity actually has its place. If you want to stand above your competition, you don't want to be predictable. Don't be like everybody else. Be different. Look, you don't need to be loud and flashy to stand out, but if you just do what everybody else does, you're going to be bland and you're not going to get noticed. Is it possible for a law firm to learn better marketing skills from a Venezuelan restaurant? So let me tell you a quick story. I was and my wife, my East Coast Italian bride, that's my ECIB. Her name is Maria. We were out to Chicago because our youngest son, who is also in our business now, has decided to live in Chicago. Mom and I took him out there and spent the day putting together furniture and taught him how to put together furniture, which was great, father-son bonding. Obviously, we got hungry, and he was in a very ethnic part of Chicago, so we decided to look around to see what was available, and we found a Venezuelan restaurant. So we got Google out and we found out where this restaurant was, and we started walking towards it. And as soon as we get there, we can instantly tell where it is because outside of this restaurant, there was a couple of things that made it stand out. The first was this big balloon man. When you go to the used car dealership and you got that big balloon man going like that, many of you might not want to put that in front of your law firm. I get it, but maybe you'd be wrong. Then he had built an outdoor cafe when the pandemic was going on. Eating outside was necessary, but he did such a nice job with it and it was so colorful that he left it there even though the pandemic is behind us. In addition, in the nice spring weather and summer weather, it allows for more patrons to be able to eat at his restaurant because the inside is somewhat small. When you walk inside, there's not a square inch that is not decorated in some colorful Venezuelan way. I've never been to Venezuela, but I assume this is part of their culture. On the walls were pictures of people eating their food and testimonials written by real humans, and they're plastered all over the walls in a very colorful way. One of the most telling parts was in the very front of the counter when you walked up, there were two computer monitors. The top one showed their specialty, which was their fried chicken, and the bottom one showed numerous third-party recommendations from influencers and the news. They were showing you when you walked into the restaurant that you've chosen the right place because they're famous for this fried chicken, famous for arepas, and they are known by local influencers and news stations for showcasing them as the best Venezuelan food in all of Chicago. And I thought to myself, man, there's some lessons to be learned here. So I took a bunch of pictures so that you can see what I was seeing, at least to get a glimpse of it. Let me point out a couple of things. So the first was that they dared to be different. So where restaurants don't oftentimes put the big balloon man out there, they did. And it blended in from a color perspective with their color palette. They also didn't just build a boring outdoor seating. They built a very colorful outdoor seating, and they were retrofitted with comfortable chairs. It looked like an inviting place to sit. Now, everybody that drives by, if they're in that neighborhood or they walk by, this guy gets their attention. Now, how does that relate to a law firm? Most law firms, first of all, if you go to the firm and drive by, it usually says the name of the law firm, like Smith & Miller or Bean & Jones. It doesn't say what they do. It doesn't clearly articulate the practice area that they're in. I understand some states require the name of the firm to be there. Some states still are struggling with trade names. Most states, in my experience right now, are not. Having a signage where there's traffic and seeing just the name of your firm and not understanding what you do helps perpetuate the concept that all lawyers are the same. If you'd like to learn more how to stand out from the crowd, maybe create an authorship celebrity expert, micromanage the client experience, but you're not exactly sure how, visit us at thelawfirmsecret.com. We'll be happy to walk alongside you and help you build your firm one marketing system at a time. I was 25 years old when I bought the funeral home. I remember my grandfather, before he passed away, telling me, Richie, that's what he called me, he said, we'll have hundreds of people walk in the funeral home and see these beautiful drapes that cost me $25,000 to put up. He said, but we have thousands of people that drive by the outside of the funeral home every single week. The outside needs to be perfect at all times. When I bought the firm, I remembered that. Interestingly enough, I did have to replace the drapes, and it cost me almost $40,000. But the outside, the landscaping, the signage, everything that we did cost me probably significantly more than that, including the maintenance that had to be done on a daily and a weekly basis to keep it looking perfect. And that's because we understood that we had a brand that was known by everybody that drove by. They saw it and they realized they take very good care of their location, which sends a subliminal message. They'll probably take really good care of us. We built the law firm in Phoenix. We would have the team go out and police the trash all around the building because we didn't want any of our prospects walking in and seeing trash around. We would make videos of how they could get to the office, and we would show them exactly where to park and how to get into the elevator and how to come up to our floor. We tried to stand out wherever we could. When we had the monument, we made sure the sign said bankruptcy center. We did what was required by us to do through the Bar Association and highlighted the word bankruptcy. We put a sign out offering a free copy of our book on the busiest corner in our neighborhood, so as people were driving by, they saw one of those tent signs. Did it require somebody to go out there and put it up and put it down every day? It did. Did it bring us in traffic? It did. Our walk-in business was significant. We thought about how to market our firm in a way that was separating us from the competition. By the way, there were several other law firms in our building that offered the same practice area that didn't do any of these things. Every time they saw me, they asked me what we were doing differently than them, and my answer was oftentimes, just look around. I understand that you feel like you have an image to uphold. I understand that you want to be professional. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that you put the floppy balloon guy's arms out in front of your building. But I do suggest you start thinking outside the box and don't act like everybody else when it comes to what your curb appeal is and what people are seeing as they're walking or driving by your building. The next thing I want to talk about is what we saw when we walked in. So he micromanaged our senses. When we walked into the place, there was this overwhelming aroma of amazing food. Sure, it's a restaurant, but something about the olfactory senses, the nose, the smell, has a massive triggering system for humans. And so when we built the firm in Phoenix, we actually made homemade cookies every single day. We also made sure that we didn't have out-of-date magazines in the reception area, and it didn't look a mess. When kids would come into the appointments, we had things for the kids to do, whether it was movies to play, or we had Etch-a-Sketches. And we always had our testimonials running on the monitors, not the local news where our competition was advertising on the TV stations. So we micromanaged that client experience. This restaurant did the same thing. They had their testimonials all over the wall. By the way, did you know that you can take a Google review or a client testimonial and put their picture and blow it up and have it printed online and make a canvas print out of it? That's what we did. And the walls were lined with testimonials from our clients. The walls were lined with testimonials from people who were very satisfied with this person's food. You knew that it was very possible that you were going to have a great meal between the way that it smelled, the way that it looked, the way that it read, and the overall feeling of the place. It was very welcoming. The owner was wearing a uniform. The most important part of his uniform was his smile. He lit up the room when he smiled at you. So the question is, can you train your staff to at least smile? Even if you have a virtual firm, can you smile rather than look like you're hating what it is you're doing? Can we give a great attitude and come across in a way that's appealing? Now, the biggest part of what I want to point out, which would be the third thing I want to point out, is what I call the celebrity factor. In our world, we teach attorneys to create authorship, celebrity, and expert status. If you're in our program, we actually write a book for you so that you can be an author. And then that positions you separately from your competition. And then because you put things out there in either your newsletter or advertising, the internet, television, what have you, you then become a celebrity. And when you put authorship and celebrity together, people assume you're an expert because you wrote the book on the subject. Personally, I've written 4 books on the subject of growing a law firm. Many people have come to us because I wrote a book. There's something about a printed book that makes a difference. Using a book will help you become an author, celebrity, and an expert. But let's say you don't have a book. Is it possible to get your law firm interviewed by the local news station or get a local influencer that may be going through a legal challenge that you can help them or a family member with and that in return, they can give you some good PR, including a testimonial video that you can play in your office, on your website, on your social media, or during your consultations or your onboardings with clients so they know they're in the right place? The answer is yes. This Venezuelan restaurant did the same thing. With all that in mind, can you imagine if we sat down to eat the food and the food was terrible? It wouldn't have mattered, would it? All the work that they did to promote themselves would just have sped up the pace at which we found out they weren't very good at what they did. And so I've got good news. The food was amazing. If you've never had arepa, I will tell you, you'll be happy if you try it in Chicago. If you have had arepa, you know that they have to be done the right way. And he did them the right way. We thoroughly enjoyed the meal. What does this mean for you? If you don't return client calls, if clients give you less than satisfactory reviews because of the way that you serve them, if you don't make them feel good and feel like they're in the right place, or your staff is less than amicable with your clients, what you're going to find out is that you too, if you're good at marketing and do the things I told you to do, are just going to speed up the pace at which everybody figures out you're not very good at what you do, which unfortunately is going to spread like wildfire. If you're going to execute this plan and you want it to work, you have to have in place excellent client satisfaction. And in your world, I hate to break it to you, but excellent client satisfaction has less to do with your legal prowess as it does have to do with client communication. Micromanaging the client experience in the ways we discussed today and others, those are the important things you have to do to make your client feel good about who you are. If you do those things and you take my advice about willing to stand out, you're going to find you speed up the pace at which clients find out who you are and they tell their friends and relatives about it. Then you're going to start to see the flywheel of your business turn and turn. If you'd like to learn more how to stand out from the crowd, maybe create an authorship celebrity expert, micromanage the client experience, but you're not exactly sure how, visit us at thelawfirmsecret.com and we'll be happy to walk alongside you and help you build your firm one marketing system at a time.